Okay, I think we can start.
20 people are joined already. Pauline is there. Pauline. Hello, Pauline. Hello. And who is there next to you? Mute your mic.
Noela. Hello, I'm
Noela.
Noela.
Noela. Hello. Yeah. Good. Good to join. So, with the permission of all, can we start meeting?
Yeah.
Alexandra, where is he? Okay, na? Yeah.
Yes,
Hasina.
yes.
Hasina. Take
Sir,
control.
you want to admit others, huh?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I'll do. I'm also doing.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Greeting to you all powerful, empowered women on the occasion of this Women's Day, International Women's Day. I welcome our first speaker, Sherbano Umar Gular Madam. She is the president of SCI India and Maharashtra State Group. She is activist from Maharashtra Group. She is very enthusiastic person I ever saw. I request Sherbano Madam to start your, please ma'am, give your valuable thoughts and start the webinar.
Thank you, Hasina ji. Good evening and welcome all of you on this International Women's Day. I must say a few words about Hasina ji. I'll introduce you. She has done her MSW from Pune. She's a project officer in CC Development Trust and coordinator and in charge family marriage and marriage at Apnale, Mumbai, documentation officer at Jeevan Anand and Care. I went down in brief the activities of Maharashtra Group, SCI India, and will share it with you. A number of webinars have been conducted. The first one was in August 22. Speakers from different states of India shared their experience. Then Asian and European members were invited to a webinar on International Day of Peace on 21st September. On that occasion, a global moment of peace, a minute of silence was observed, and a pledge was taken to practice it was a sort of commitment to practice, peace and non-violence. Now, in several parts of Mumbai, this was celebrated, and not only in Mumbai, it was in suburbs also and outside Mumbai also. On this occasion, the proceedings were, they were, sort of compiled and then they were published by Mr. Vivek Patil. Now, in celebration of the birth anniversary of Pierce Churchill, the founder of SCI, a webinar was held on 17th August, A book on Pierce Churchill was published by Mr. Vivek Patil, and it was translated in 7 languages. Asian seminar was also held on International Volunteers Day on 5th December. Now, coming to the work camps, a work camp at the De-Addiction Center of Jeevandhara was organized for 4 days at Titwala. 7 volunteers participated. Now, 1 volunteer was sent to Calcutta for the weekend work camp. And in Sanvita Ashram at Kudal, near Goa Highway, a 10-day work camp was conducted by, our volunteers joined there. This was organized by Jeevan Anand, and it was founded by Sandeep Parab. They do a great job. They rehabilitate roadside, destitute, old patients who are in dire need of medical attention. Jeevandhara is another NGO working for slum children towards education and supplying food. A visit was made by us the office bearers to their annual function. In October 22, a short-term grooming course, Ho Nahar Beti, was organized under the Women's Empowerment Movement for young girls and homemakers, training them in home science skills, culinary art, and giving them a series of lectures so as to change a girl, a raw girl, into a woman of substance. SCI orientation program was also held in collaboration with Green Sea Foundation and SEWA. And this was done by means of lectures and videos in January 23. And it was meant for our new members of SCI. On 22nd of October, SCI volunteers escorted and helped visually impaired persons to a day-long program it was organized by Blind Persons Association. This year, our members have started visiting Kamla Mehta School for blind girls. Our volunteers read to them, teach to the students, and help them in their studies. Now, last but not the least, YouTube channel has been launched by Maharashtra group of SCI-India. You may open SCI Facebook, share, and like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sher Bano Madam, for your valuable thoughts and motivational speech. I would like to introduce our second speaker, Alexandra Madam. She is the president of SCI International, former treasurer, founder of SCI Hellas branch. She is holding a master's degree and having vast experience in teaching professional. Please, ma'am, I'd like, please.
Thank you, Hasina. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the honor to be with you and share my thoughts on this important issue worldwide. I will speak generally on women's empowerment, as the other women from the SCI office will speak for more specific issues of this subject. So I would like to share my screen for the presentation. A host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you give me the right, please?
Yes, you can share.
Okay.
त्यांना कोर्स बनवावा लागेल.
Yes, बनवला.
कोण आहे? हाँ?
I think now you can see my presentation.
Yeah. We can see.
Okay, I can start then. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Isabella Lende wrote, it's a quote from here: "I can promise you that women working together, linked, informed, and educated can bring peace and prosperity to this forsaken planet." And one quote from Michelle Obama: "There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish." We can start with the definition of women's empowerment that can be defined as to promoting women's sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and then their ability to determine their own choices and not being dictated what their choices could be. And the third component is their right to influence the social change for themselves and others. Women empowerment is also closely aligned with female empowerment and a fundamental right, and it's a key to achieving more peaceful and prosperous and sustainable world. And this is what SCI is working, and it is their vision, and it's our vision and mission also. In Western societies, female empowerment is often associated with specific phases of the women's rights movement in history, and this is split in three waves. The first wave started in the 19th and 20th century, and it was all about the of the suffrage of women. The second wave in the 60s, in the 60s included the sexual revolution and the role of women in society. And the third wave of feminism is often seen beginning in the 90s. But despite a great deal of progress, women and girls continue to face discrimination and violence in many parts of this world. Women in history. Is it a man's world? Of course, it was the case in the ancient patriarchal societies, especially in Greco and Roman ones. As you can see, this is a depiction of an ancient vase. The man is pointing the finger to the woman, and the woman is submissive and retreating to his words. At the classical mythology, we see that life of women had two purposes: to marry and have children. Women are rarely seen as the hero, and they are typically confined in the role of a victim, of the lover, the mother, or even the monster. Female characters were beautiful and submissive always. Later on, the stereotypical image of medieval women was as oppressed and subservient. There was witch hysteria that took hold in Europe during the mid-1400s. Single women, widows, other women on the margins of society were targeted, and most of the accused were executed, and they were burned at the stake or being hanged. This is a poster from the Second World War, 1942, in the United States, when women were invited to enter the workforce because the men were fighting the war. So during the two world wars, while the men were fighting the wars, women were needed to take on responsibilities that the men had left behind. While some women managed to enter the traditionally male careers, most of the women were expected to be involved in women's work. And of course, when the men returned from the war, they needed their jobs back. So for example, some women who have followed the armies during the Revolutionary War, that is the Civil War in the United States, they had to return to their homes and families. Later on, some women who worked in the munition factories in the World War I faced unemployment and discrimination. Other women who contributed to the war effort in World War II, they were encouraged to return to their domesticity, while some women who survived post-war conflicts faced marginalization and execution. So here we see how women were used according to the needs of the society, mostly male society. Women in religion. Although women have played an important role in the development of various religions, from Hinduism to Christianity, the way in which women were treated generally is somewhat less than equal with men in most religious settings and belief systems. This was less due to the teachings of the religions, and it was more to the cultural norms of the era in which they arose. Some milestones now towards women's rights. This is a poster from the early 20s when women were striving for their right to vote. It was in 1893 that New Zealand was the first country to grant women rights to vote in the world. In 1920, it was the United States that followed and granted women's rights to vote. In 1952, in Greece, we won the right to vote, but it was only in 1983 that the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women was ratified. In 1963, equal pay was passed in the United States. 71, Swiss women won the right to vote. And you know that Switzerland is one of the most developed countries in Europe. 76, Portuguese women were granted the right to vote. In 1980, in China, under the new marriage law, women during divorce proceedings, they gained the right for child custody and the division of property. 2012, the United Nations passed a resolution banning female genital mutilation, although in some remote rural areas, this is still the practice for young girls. 2017, Saudi Arabia lifts ban on female drivers, where up to then they couldn't drive. 2018, Iceland requires fair pay of women. And you know, Iceland is a European country, but it is only until 2018 that a law was passed. My own experience now, while living my childhood in Greece in the 60s, my adolescence in the 70s, and starting my academic and working life in the 80s and further on, it is one of discrimination, of being looked down, and often not being respected due to my gender. Education and my personal determination gave me the self-confidence, the courage, and the tools to become independent, to follow my career, and lead a happier life. Some posters from Women's Empowerment Days. So women today, the roles of women in today's society is not similar in the countries. It's different, and between countries and between continents. In conservative or agricultural societies, women are still expected to do all the domestic chores, be submissive and obedient. In modern societies, women are no longer expected to stay at home or watch over the house. Most women today have their own jobs. They seek to advance their careers and share the household and child rearing with their husbands. If society can support and encourage the 5 components of women empowerment, then we can achieve better results to the right direction. What are these components? First is the psychological component. We have to boost women's self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, and raise their awareness. In education, we have to encourage the right to have access to diverse choices of education, of literacy, and of training. In the economic sector, we have to boost the right to have increased access and control over financial resources. In societal sector, we have to boost the ability to influence the direction of social change and create a more just social and economic order, nationally and internationally. And in the political sector, we have to boost actions to transform the structures and institutions that reinforce and perpetuate gender discrimination and inequality. Of course, there are some barriers and problems towards women empowerment. And some of them, it's the age-old traditions and some orthodox beliefs and societal norms, sexual harassment in the workplaces. This is very, let's say in many countries, it is very common. There is a pay disparity in societies. Women are paid less as compared to men. Child and early marriage hinders women to be empowered. After marriage, many women have to stay at home. And another factor is femicide, criminal assaults, and injustice with women in many areas. Many women don't enjoy liberty and freedom. And we saw during COVID times, femicide and criminal assaults towards women were in the rise. In my own country, more than 20 women were killed by their husbands or by their partners during COVID years. There has been progress, of course, during the last decades, but the world is not in the track to achieve gender equality by 2030. And personally, I can say that I'm very happy to be part of Service Civil International, an organization that promotes gender equality and human rights for a more peaceful world for all, through informal education, training, and volunteering. Women empowerment is a lifelong process. It cannot be achieved from one moment to the other. But I can say that my involvement with SCI since 1983, founding the Greek branch in Athens, has reinforced my self-esteem, has improved different skills inside me, and has given me the pleasure of feeling useful and complete in my life. So happy International Women's Day to all. Thank you so much. I will stop sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice lecture. Very good, very good.
Thank you, Alexandra ma'am, for sharing beautiful journey of women empowerment. through your presentation. Our next speaker is Carrie Madam. She is project officer at SCI International Belgium. She coordinates international project in cooperation with SCI movement around the world. Please, Carrie ma'am, please share your thoughts.
Hello, thank you. It's great to be here with all of you. Thank you to SCI-India team for organising this event. I would also like to share my screen if somebody could give me the.
Yeah, Hasina will give you.
Yes, you can share.
Okay. Okay, do you see it full screen? Yes, okay, thank you. Happy International Women's Day to everybody here. I'm Kerry, I'm project officer at SCI's International Secretariat since last year. Before that, some years ago, I was a long-term volunteer at the office. And in the years in between, my main way of staying involved with SCI was through one of our working groups, which is not active anymore, but was quite active some years in the past, which is called the Gender Blenders Working Group. So I'm gonna come from a couple of different perspectives in this presentation, my personal one, and also to try and share a bit about what has happened in SCI within our working group. Let's see how the time goes, how much I can get through. So start by saying I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to reflect on the occasion of International Women's Day. I personally identify as a feminist, and I believe in a feminism which is intersectional and inclusive, and which sees the ways that gender interacts also with many other factors, race, class, ability, caste, and many others, to create different systems of inequality and discrimination, and also a feminism which sees gender as more complex system. So I think I was a feminist before I ever knew the word feminist, thanks to my mother, who is a single mother, and I think she really showed me that anything is possible as a woman. So I grew up with a great example, and yeah, because of that, I'm happy to reflect on this this day, the 8th of March. I'm going to start with a kind of reflection on the past few years of different International Women's Day occasions that I've been involved in. And I think the main theme of this is that it's kind of an old feminist saying that the personal is political and the political is personal. So it's tying together personal stories with the experience of women around the world. So let's see. In 2018, I was I kind of saw a theme when I was looking back at these, that often I was involved in protests, because the 8th of March is about celebrating women, celebrating women's role in society, wishing good things for our friends and our loved ones, but it's also about protesting, highlighting the necessity still of working towards real equality for women and other marginalized genders. So in 2018, I was at some protests in London, which was against pension cuts in the UK. And because it was the 8th of March, we made a particular focus on how these cuts would disproportionately affect women. Then we go to 2020, a March for Gender Equality in Brussels, which I think I was attending with Claudia. Here you see the purple smoke. Purple is the color of International Women's Day because it's supposed to symbolize dignity and respect. In 2021, this was a really interesting year, rather than protest, because it was still banned because of the pandemic. There were a lot of vigils instead held in London for victims of femicide during the pandemic in different parts of the world. And yeah, this was the 8th of March. And then on the 9th of March, there was some news that a woman had been murdered by a police officer in the UK, which highlighted, I think, everything we had been protesting for on the 8th of March. And a lot of people gathered in South London to take a stand against this. There's a sign here which says, "Killed by the system we're told protects us." So this was during the time also around the world people were protesting against police violence. And this was a very powerful moment, I think, for reflection. Last year, 2022, I was doing some work with a union of workers in the UK who are kind of in precarious jobs, who don't have work. And we also held a kind of online, a very nice online moment where we reflected together. And then that brings us up to now, back to SCI, back here with SCI-India, and I'm going to move to the second part of my presentation, where I'll quickly introduce the working group Gender Blenders, which was an official working group of SCI from 2018 to 2020. The idea was to raise awareness on the connection between gender and sexuality stereotypes and the commitment for peace and non-violence, and support branches and partners of SCI in developing activities related to gender topics and promote gender education. So who we were an informal network of volunteers linked to SCI in different ways, some staff members, mostly long-term volunteers, and different people in the network. These were the actively supporting organizations at the time, quite a few of them. And what did we achieve? I'll just run through the main kind of achievements. In 2019 was a big year. We did a project that lasted the whole year in Europe, focusing on the topic, and the outcome of that was this toolkit called Free to Be You and Me, which is available on SCI's website. It's a resource to help activity leaders make gender equality and gender inclusion a principle of their work. It's a very nice resource. In 2020, we did a campaign during the pandemic, which highlighted the effect of the pandemic on women in certain ways, LGBT people. Yeah, there was a rise in gender-based violence, which Alexandra also mentioned. So that was a kind of social media campaign that was just highlighting these these issues. And we also did a translation project of the toolkit into 10 different languages. And then from 2021 onwards, there were a few more projects organized by different branches in SCI. And there was a new version of the toolkit created within a project because as maybe you notice, our projects were within the context of Europe, more or less. And then in 2021, we were able to discuss this issue in a project also with African partners. And from that, we created a living version of the toolkit, which was supposed to be a more dynamic and flexible resource that could be adapted to different realities, because as we know, gender realities are very contextual. They are related to different histories and different cultures. And that's why we created this, this version of the toolkit, which we want always to be able to add to, adapt, and edit. And here are a couple of the pages of that toolkit, just to give you an example. It's also highlighting some gender initiatives that have been taken in SCI, not just in Europe, but in some of the partner organizations of this project. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen now. I hope I wasn't too long. That was my presentation, and yes, happy International Women's Day to all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kerry. Very nice presentation. Very nice
Thank
speech.
you, Kerry ma'am. Thank you, Kerry ma'am, for sharing different perspective about gender equality and sharing women's struggle and marginalized gender around the world. I welcome our next speaker, Amra madam. She is a world traveler who enjoyed good food and meeting new people with love and different languages. Amra madam started Albania to China, and now she is in Belgium as communication volunteer at SCI International Secretariat. She is also working on her PhD and trying to learn new things every day. I request Amra madam to share your valuable thoughts.
Hello, everyone. As Hasina mentioned, I'm Ambra. I'm currently the communication volunteer at SCI International Secretariat here in Antwerp. Thank you for inviting me. And when Nitin contacted and asked if I was willing to participate today and share my experience, I immediately said yes. But then I was like, okay, but what do I say? What do I talk about? Should I share my experience as a volunteer here at IS? Should I share my experience as an immigrant in another country? And then I decided it's better to talk about my educational journey, since I'm now doing my PhD, and often I've heard like, PhD, kind of, you're a girl, why do you need that? You are too young. There's always something that people find it interesting to say it. Okay, one of my earliest memories of my childhood and one of my favorite activities was that I made a pact with my grandma that I would read her the newspaper in the morning and she would tell me stories at night. And I thought she was doing that just for me to start reading and practicing. And then I realized that it was because she couldn't read. This person who I loved so much and was the most important person in my life, she couldn't read, but she was always pushing me to read more. And I asked her why she couldn't, because I thought everyone could. Everyone goes to school, everyone can read the newspaper. And she told me that when she was a young girl, her father didn't allow her to go to school because there were too many children at home. And being the oldest and being a girl, It was not necessarily for her to go to school, but rather help at home, her mother to cook and her father in the field. But education and learning how to read and being with other kids at school was so important for her that she paid extra attention to her kids. She had 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. And my father and my aunts and uncle always tell that she was always together with her husband, saying that so important, how important is the education, and always pushing them to study hard. But then Albania was a communist country, and it was not possible for all the kids in one family to go to school. So the parents somehow had to choose which kid would go to school. And my grandparents decided immediately that the girls would go to school. My father said that even though he was a good student, my uncle was a good student, it was decided by their parents, but also as a family, that it would be better for the girls to go to school, because they thought the girls would leave this home, they would go to someone else's home, and they will always be lacking something, not having this empowerment, this financial empowerment also. So both my aunts went to university, both were educated, and all my life, my father, my grandma, everyone in my family kept saying to me how important it is to study more, to read more, to get educated. So for me, it was always, okay, I'm going to go to university. That's a must. And I remember the day I got admitted in university, I was still living with my grandma, and I told her, like, Grandma, I'm admitted in university. I'm moving from this little town where we used to live to go to live in the capital because it was closer to the university. And she said, you know what, I'm going to come with you. And I couldn't believe that. This old woman who loved her neighbors and drinking coffee every afternoon with them. She said, yeah, if education is very important, you're going to need some emotional support, but also spending good time together. We loved each other. So yeah, she came with me. So university days, awesome. And then I decided for my master's to go abroad. But that was a very delicate topic because I knew it would be difficult for my grandma to leave her and go somewhere far. And I remember the day I told her that I was admitted in a university in China, far, far away from Albania. She said, I'm very proud of you and you have to go. Like, don't even think of it. And I literally started crying, and it was such an emotional moment. And I went for 3 years. I was far away from her, but we would talk every day. She would always say how proud she was for me for doing something that she couldn't really understand, because she thought just studying at university in Tirana was the maximum. So when I finished my master's, I was back home and I applied for a PhD, and I told her that, and I tried to explain what a PhD was. But the only thing that she could understand was like, I'm still getting educated. There's another level of education that I'm getting. And she would just tell me how proud she was, even though it was a bit too much maybe for her. And she couldn't really understand, like, why is that the third thing you're doing after you finished your high school? But yeah, everyone, not only her, but everyone in my family was so proud. And every time I'm feeling like, okay, I'm struggling, maybe I should just stop, this is way too difficult, I know this word, education, how important it is to whole family. And that's something that and then I'm still studying, but it's now online because of COVID and everything. And then I decided to join SCI. And honestly, it's one of the best decisions I've made for this one gap year. It has been amazing being here at IAS with the girls at the office, but also learning so much about SCI, big family, and about what branches and partners are doing all around the world. I'm learning every day, and I've also realized that this education that I thought it's not only at school, but it's all learning every day through this articles that everyone sends to me that they need to be published in our website or social media, is learning from my roommate on how to sort the trash, is learning how to be more mindful, how to be tolerant. And SCI has given me so much during this 6 months that I'm really looking forward to the next 6 other months to learn more and more and grow as a person, not only in this educational level, but more as a person. I hope that wasn't way too long. Thank you so much, SCI India, for giving me the opportunity to talk today, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Ambra. There is a comment from Pauline and Noela also. They are giving some that you have done very good speech.
Thank you, Amra ma'am. Thank you for your sharing your beautiful memories and your journey. I welcome our next speaker, Shamim ma'am. She is SCI activist from Dhaka, Bangladesh. She is computer engineer by profession. She completed her MBA in finance. She was a former treasurer, SCI Dhaka, Bangladesh. I request Shamim ma'am to share your thoughts.
I think Shamim ma'am has not joined, Hasina.
Okay.
Please check whether Shamim is there. Shamim
She's
is
not there. You can
Not
take the
there.
next speaker.
Yeah. You check whether Hema
Our
is there.
next speaker is Nurul
Hem-
ma'am. She is
okay.
joined.
Okay.
Nurul ma'am.
Nurul is there.
There, she's there.
Okay.
You
Our
continue.
next speaker is Nurul ma'am. She is former president of SCI Malaysia. She holds experience of 5 numbers international work camp. Nurul ma'am interested to working on women empowerment issue, women development and educational project. I request ma'am to share your valuable thoughts.
Thank you, Hasina. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nur Shahida from SCI Malaysia. A bit about me. I've been with SCI Malaysia since 1999 2000. It's been a wonderful 20 over years journey with SCI. It have taught me from little things to big things. It's been wonderful, and participating in work camp, seminar, training all over Asia and Europe have given me so much experience. What I would like to do today is, this is my point of view, what is women involvement in Asia when I started joining till now. So I would like to start with my first main point. So usually when I started at SCI and went for my first meeting in India, Madam Shahar Banu was my host. That was about 20 years ago. You know, SCI world was dominated mostly by the male, and the female ladies, the women was always there, but we are always the supporting group, more of a backbenchers. Most of, as I said, most of the members are dominated by men, but the women are there, but very less. Back then, when we have SCI Korea, Japan, Malaysia, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, IVP Australia, Mauritius, and even Pakistan, there are some women involvement, such as I work very closely with Hanae from SCI Japan, Soyan from SCI Korea, Rita from IVP Australia, and also some maybe other ladies. They are all an inspiration to me. For Malaysia, we have 2 branches. I belong to the Kuala Lumpur branch, and I used to hold one of the longest posts, which is the president, for almost 9 years. So it's been very helpful, and I got a lot of support from my members. We also have another group in Penang. They also have SCI president, which is a good development for SCI Malaysia during that time. Now, secondly, what I see from my view, there's always an age gap. When you go training or you go seminar, especially in Europe, you will always see that your European volunteers are what age like 18, 25, and you get this big gap from the Asian volunteers aging from 30, 40, 60s. This is something normal, but I think now I think the age gap has closed down a bit. Um, Most of the women in Asia coming from a close-knit family, a community bound. When they come to certain age, they already start family. So they somehow keep their dream or keep the dream of traveling a little bit later when they have kids. This is what usually happen. And if you look at United Nations would say youth in Europe usually age like 15 to 24. Malaysia youth is like 15 to 40. So even you're 39, 38, 40, you're still youth. So basically, that's also have created the age gap for a certain projects around the world. Example, when I went for my Asia Europe exchange program back in 2009, I will always have my friends from Europe age 18, 24, 25. Myself that time 30 plus, and I would have another guy from I think Sri Lanka about 60. So, but we are okay. Because SCI had taught you to live together as a community. You cook, you play, you sleep, whatever, do training together. So everything is very beautiful in that time. The third main point between Asia and Europe is mostly the geography of the location. Europe have more accessible to traveling, where Malaysia we are far apart from each other. So most probably we can take a train, or if not, we have to take the what you call air flight to go from a country to another country. That also play a huge why you don't see lots of Asian volunteer during that time. But nowadays you will see more women has the economics will to explore the world, searching for new opportunities and new challenges due to their economic background, financial will, and education opportunities. Now we come to the social media evolution. As you all know, I see more and more women involvement now in SCI. Thanks to the social media, it's booming after 2005, 2007, from this Facebook to blogs to chat room. You hear everything about work camps. What is work camp? What is exchanges program? All this thing. Then back there where the community are a little bit more open up, where they're more educated, they are more willing to allow their daughters or son to go for this exchange program. This is what's the beautiful about this social media. Before that, I suppose that the way communication is only via emails, snail mail. I remember when my first trip to India, I think the SCI India, my name is Nurul. They expect Nurul in India usually are men. When I was there, I was a lady, so it was a bit shock for them. So that was about 2002, 2003. That's how I know, uh, you know, just by the name, just by that, you should know who you are, and all this information need to be done before you go any meetings or what. Now, because of I would like to touch a bit on the effect of the COVID-19. Um, some network in Asia has closed down and has been quiet a bit. I think when my friend Wendy from Step Vietnam, after COVID-19, she have another job. She closed down Step Vietnam. We miss that a lot because before COVID, Step Vietnam has many work camp and have many active volunteers. And we also have the opportunity to go there for our Asia platform meeting before the COVID. We also lost contact with my dear friend from SCI Japan Hanai. I think now We only have Mr. Toyoda-san, SCI Korea also, and SCI Mauritius also been quite down since the COVID. Now, what I think we could do, especially in Asia, where we could do more regional work camp for the Asian youth, you know, like, and what you call, we should have more webinar like this, so at least others could have more opportunity to talk on what topic they like on. And I'm also very proud to see the how would I say, the Asian volunteers also got into the post of the SCIIS, like Miss Hema Mali, Dr. Shoba, Madam Shahar Banu, and so on. This is something I'm proud of. You know, after 20 years, I got to see this development, which is very, very, very good. I'm okay because in Europe there's always opportunity for the ladies to be the president. I know now it's Miss Alexandra. Before that we have Jackie, Mamali, we have Goska, and everyone else. So it is very beautiful to see all this development in leadership. I appreciate every one of you. Other than that, I think I do see there's a lot of opportunity and also challenges, but we can achieve it together. I am now taking care of more SCI project locally, especially in Asia, where I see there's so much challenges and also opportunity to do that. Then rather I go back to Europe. So I think that's all from me. And happy International Women's Day to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very good, Nurul. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nurul ma'am, for your great speech and encouragement. I welcome our next speaker, Hema Mali. My pronunciation is right? Hema Mali ma'am. She is General Secretary of Coordination Committee of International Voluntary Service, former International President, lawyer in human rights field, SCI activist from Sri Lanka. Welcome, ma'am. Please share your valuable thoughts.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much, SCI Maharashtra Group, to organize this beautiful event and this webinar. So I would like to put my first point as the volunteerism, how it important for women empowerment and gender equality. As we all know, actually, yes? Sorry. Yes. Yeah, as you all know, in SCI, we also organize many work camps with focus on gender equality and women empowerment. As well as each and every our work camps, we have cross-cutting theme of gender equality. So then in our volunteers, we are learning how we are sharing our thoughts, how we are sharing our culture, and everything via our activities. So this is the most important thing, our teenagers and our all volunteers, that all the things they learn from our work camps, they bring that to their society, their all families. Then they expose with other people in international community, and they bring that all experience to their own society. So that's why we want to do more activities and more focus on gender equality and women empowerment, because some society it's actually we cannot say 100% it's achieved, but we are in some creeping status in many countries and many societies. So then we
It's a bad connection. We'll wait.
Sorry, I lost my connection for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, for many religious organizations and educational organizations also experience many women are coming to that voluntary activities. Again, that donors also, then there is one research, then it says single women donate 51 percentage of that donations, and according to that research, it was 41 percentage taking that single men. So usually then, that research says that single women are the most we can call generous people. Then that research said that when their salary increase, they are giving more donation for community works. Then I want to put this point because we can see that women are usually putting their more of effort for voluntary work to contribute the society, as well as then they are taking that experience to their family to grow and improve that their gender equality in their societies. This is one thing. Again, I want to put to your attention that as our President Alexandra said, that CEDAW Convention, yes, it is ratified by 189 countries at that moment. But even though it's ratified and signed after 44 years, still we have discrimination, and the society is not safe for girl child or women. Many societies we face these issues. Sometimes it's the people call that is this is the religious or maybe culture, that this is our culture, this is some religious practices, and always that this kind of discrimination and violence coming up with this kind of names, some labels. So still we are facing this threats in our countries, in our societies. So the SCI, actually voluntary organizations, is the best place to reduce, to address these kind of things, and improve value of humanity, and address that address to society to mitigate this kind of social phenomena. And again, I need to say that some countries still they are making some physical harassment as their punishments. They are treating women in a very low level. So many activists, and many lawyers, and many social journalists are fighting for this. Still, this is not in the real level, even though after 44 years of CEDAW, each and every year that all 189 countries need to send reports that what are the steps they have taken to reduce this violence against women. But still that government not in the level of CEDAW level, that many non-governmental organizations and students, they are trying to support, but this is the problem. Why we are still behind? Why we are still behind? Because CEDAW is drafted by women. Women drafted for themselves. It's not from anywhere else. It's not from man-made. It's like with feminist approach. So why we cannot achieve this? This is the main problem still here. Another thing that I can put one example from Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, that actually women are making money. The main three resources of Sri Lankan economy, it's women are taking. Women are making. So the one is the government sectors. The second one is from plantation sector, and the third one is from women migration. So foreign employment. All three sectors, women not making money, but still in Sri Lankan parliament, I mean, decision-making positions, it's only below 4% of women there. This is the thing that the women are producing, but not taking decisions for themselves. The decision-making positions in many countries, not in Europe, many Asian countries still filled with men. I'm not taking like men or women, but the approach. This is the main thing. It is, we cannot say physical men or women. This is supportive for other gender, supportive for that some people who are behind the society, that cannot reach and cannot make a safe place for themselves in the world. This is the thing. So this is the third point I need to put your attention. Then how we can support this? How we can support this decision making places, to how we can empower women or girl child to take that decision making power, to take for not only their own life, for their families and the society even. Yeah, these are the main things I need to express in this Women's Day. So as you may know, this International Women's Day started in 1909, so many years ago, to get good salary. Still, we are having discrimination for salaries in many countries and many institutions. So yeah, it is a lifelong journey. But as a human being, as a human being, we need to have a safe place. So then I think SCI can do more jobs, more work to reach that place. So yes, for you all, happy International Women's Day, and we all can work together to make a better place for women and girl child. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Hema.
you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema Mali, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts about women's contribution to society. I welcome Claudia ma'am, our next speaker. Claudia ma'am is from Italy, working at the SCI International Secretariat in Belgium as communication volunteer coordinator. She started her journey in SCI in 2016 as a long-term volunteer at SCI Switzerland. Recently, she attended work camp of SCI in Palestine to feel reconnect to SCI after house working after COVID. Welcome, ma'am. Please share your thoughts.
Hasina, share kar dila. She wants
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for having me here. And it's really an honor to be part of this event and to meet all of you and to hear these inspiring interventions so far. I would like to tell my personal experience as a volunteer and how volunteering empowered me as a woman, because I never had an experience volunteering for a project that was focused on women empowerment. So I can talk about my own experience. And I volunteered in different ways throughout the years. First in my city, in Italy, in the Red Cross. I was in the youth group, but also in other groups. And then, as was mentioned, I did 1 year long-term volunteering in SCI Switzerland as a communication volunteer. And I participated to different SCI work camps in Switzerland and the latest one in Palestine. And in all these different volunteering experiences, I could learn new skills and get new knowledge, and with that, gain confidence in myself. So for me, volunteering was a space where, first of all, I got to learn about non-formal education. So I received a lot of peer-to-peer training courses and build my skills and knowledge, for example, in nonviolent communication, in facilitation of groups, first aid, intervention during emergency situations. So a lot of different things that I couldn't really, it was not connected to my formal studies. So it gave me different perspectives and knowledge. That was more useful for the volunteering environment, but also for my personal life. And then I could immediately use these skills during the volunteering activities, so I could practice them and gain even more confidence in what I learned previously. And I could do that in an environment that was very supportive of trying new things and even making mistakes. For me, at least, volunteering has been this type of environment where I was more encouraged to just try it out and see how it goes. Nothing really disastrous will happen. There's not going to be a bad note for you and you will not continue your journey. This is part of the journey. And I think this environment is really empowering when you have also people around you that encourage you in that way. And I have maybe a silly example, but for me it was like kind of a stepping point, an important moment where I realized that volunteering could help me in my empowerment. And it was during a work camp where it was about manual labor. And I had to use a ladder to complete my tasks, and I'm very afraid of ladders. But because I was really committed and I wanted to complete my tasks in the volunteering, then I just did it and I could overcome my fear. And so this showed me that if I put my mind to it, I can overcome these blocks that I put for myself, maybe in my mind. They're only in my mind. And in the same work camp, I could also use, I had to use a drill. And this also allowed me to break another barrier that I had about myself, thinking that me specifically, but because as a woman, I'm not good at these practical things that are usually associated to men. But yeah, I could do it. And so it broke this stereotype about myself that I couldn't do it. And so yeah, showing me that I can overcome these barriers and I can do more than what I thought I could do. Yeah, so another point where I saw that volunteering helped me feeling more empowered as a woman was what was mentioned before by other people today, that in volunteering, especially in SCI, we can see a lot of women in leadership positions. And for me, that was very important to see since I started being in SCI. All the international presidents were women, and I could witness different leadership styles. And it was very important to see these different ways to be a leader and a woman. And also I could gather a lot of examples of women that I can look up to. And yeah, I think this is not as common in other environments, for example, in the working environment or in politics. So volunteering is a good place to have these examples and to see these powerful women in leadership positions. And then finally, especially with international volunteering with SCI, but not only, I could meet people in general, but women specifically, from very different backgrounds and ages and faiths and countries. And this allowed me to, again, break stereotypes, but this time stereotypes that I had about other women. So maybe I had an idea that a woman from a certain country or a certain background or a certain faith, they were not allowed to participate in the public sphere because they were supposed to stay at home, or they were not allowed to do certain things. But then when I got to volunteering with them, I could see that there were a lot of women in leadership in their communities, that they were leaders of their volunteering organization, that they were doing amazing things. And yeah, I was so glad to be proven wrong and to see this drive in different communities of women taking charge of their own empowerment and empowerment of their community. So let me see if I can share the screen. It's not possible. Could you please?
Yeah. Hasina, share. Host
Okay.
Yes, yes, you can share.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, just as a recap, there are 3 main points that I wanted to highlight. Volunteering as a space to learn new skills and gain confidence in oneself. And volunteering as an opportunity to meet women in leadership positions. And in this picture, we see Alexandra as the international president and Inge as the international coordinator, and Alena also in the board. And are all women that I look up to, and I'm so glad that I know them. And this is our wonderful office. Also meeting young women who, so our volunteers, who are so engaged, and they are full of ideas and knowledge. For me, it's also very inspiring. And at the same time, in SCI, I could meet previous activists and volunteers that maybe were in work camps 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and they were traveling internationally and just by themselves and volunteering. And that's also really inspiring to see this thread and to learn from each other, different ages and different generations. And finally, volunteering as a way to break stereotypes about other women. So yeah, I got to meet amazing women from different faiths and different countries. Yeah, as I said before. So for example, also in Palestine, one of the volunteers was a priest, a woman and priest, and she was super funny. So that broke a lot of stereotypes for me. Another, the clown that you see was in a project in SCI where we went from different countries in the Balkans to have this clown shows for refugees. And she's now a mother, and she still does this job, going from country to country and being a clown for refugees as a mother. In the other picture, you have like a very young girl going to Palestine by herself for 3 months and being, yeah, very brave. So yeah, I think volunteering is a powerful tool if it's with the right organization that supports women empowerment and can bring women together to empower each other. So yeah, thank you for inviting me again, and happy Women's Day to everyone.
Happy Women's Day, Claudia. Thank you very much. Good speech. Very nice.
Thank you, Claudia ma'am, for sharing your experience about volunteerism. And it is true, as you mentioned, volunteerism is an opportunity to express ourselves and learning new things from each other. I would like to invite Shobha Vajpayee De Silva ma'am for Thanksgiving session. She is Joint Secretary of Maharashtra State Group and also founder member of Jeevan Dhara, a NGO her NGO working with SCI Maharashtra State Group projects. Welcome, Shobha Vajpayee ma'am.
Yes, yes. Good evening to everyone. And I would like to say Happy International Women's Day to everyone who are here. In fact, I would like to thank all my male volunteers also who is guiding us time to time, Nitin ji and Vivek ji, Sharad ji, everyone. Thank you so much. And I especially want to thank our guest friends, I can say Rengchandra, Carrie, Ambre, Nurul, Claudia and Hema Madi. So your experience was very enriching. And in fact, we learned lot many things from you, and very inspiring and motivational interaction all of you did. We learned a lot, and our most of the participants are the, as you see, women. So we are taking lot many things from you. And I would like to also thank our SCI Maharashtra, which especially I want to thank Jeevan Anand, then CARE, SCI International, Parivartanshil, this organization which he help us to place our volunteers and to do voluntary work, Blind Men Association. So thank you so much, all of you, and hope to see you soon in India to our SCI project. Waiting, like I'm very restless now. So, and I request Nitin ji especially, if every quarter, if it is possible, if we meet all SCI International and Indian, all the volunteers online, so it will be very great opportunity to interact our suggestions and ideas and learn from each other. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Anything else, Nitin?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, then. See you all once again. Bye.
Thank you all and bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
for
night,
the
Thank you,
everyone.
organizers.
Monica. Thank you, Ambra.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Ambra, thank you very much. Nurul,
Band
thank
karu,
you. Thamba, thamba jara. Alexandra, ma'am, thank you very much.
स्टीफन गेला का स्टीफन
हा स्टीफन गेला वाटतं.
गेला 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 ती कोण अगोदर गेलो तुला काही काम होतं स्टेशनकडे
नाही ठीक आहे.
काय
Shall we close?
Sir, I would like to thank you, Nitin sir and SCI, for giving me an opportunity to
अच्छा.
take part in today's webinar. Thank
अरे
you, sir.
काय थँक्यू तुम्ही आहात म्हणून आपण हे करतो
Thank you, Hasina madam.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Can I
Very
leave?
good. Yeah.
Thank you, Hasina madam and Chair Banu madam. I actually I forgot to thank both of you.
No.
Sorry, and thank you
It's
so
our
much.
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You did very well.
Mhm.
Thank you.
सुनील
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye then.
Hasina madam,
विवेक
Shobha
सर
madam,
तुम्हाला होस्ट
Chairman
केला आहे.
madam.
विवेक सर.
all of
विवेक
you
सर.
हा काय झालं?
did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
विवेक
sir.
सर.
In a short while,
Host
I'll
केला
upload
आहे.
this video
Host-
on the YouTube channel.
होस्ट केला आहे विवेक सर.
Ha. I will record. I have already recorded. Upload the video on the channel, YouTube channel. Okay.
Okay, see you.
Give me 1 hour. Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.